I was like in 10th grade, 9th grade in high school, and I worked at this place called Mies Manor, which was like a retirement community. You know, you'd work and you'd serve old people, like a waiter or whatever. And I'd just gotten off of work, and it was a Sunday, because on Sundays I went to my mom's house. This is when my parents were, just divorced, you know what I mean? So my dad's like, hey, do you want to go to McDonald's before we go and take you to your mom's house? I'm like, yeah, all right, you know, thinking we're going to go to the one by our house, because we literally lived right down the road from McDonald's. And my dad wanted to go to the one that we were close to at the time, which just so happened to be close to my high school off of fucking Main Street. Now, I know that's not a big deal to most of you guys. Me being in 9th grade, I was like, God damn, I don't want to go to the fucking McDonald's by my high school, because chances are I'd see somebody there. Because that's how you think when you're that age. Anyways, I'm like, you know, so we end up going to the one there on Main Street. And I remember I brought my dad a croissant off of work. He's like, all right, I'm just going to eat this real quick. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So my dad had this ugly-ass van, right? This van was so ugly.
It was beautiful.
It was ugly as hell, dude.
Wait, it had a little
like
rust.
Red and silver striped, and the paint job was so shitty. You know what I mean? I mean, it was beautiful at one point, I'll give him that. But not today. And so he parked it right on Main Street in front of all the cars, you know, so they'll drive by, see his ugly-ass van with a Conus.net website thing. Knew what the fuck that was about. I mean, I didn't know about the internet then. But anyways, long story short, I go inside the McDonald's, right, and as soon as I enter, I see these two fucking girls from my high school that were cheerleaders. I stop and I'm like, in the middle of walking, I stop, I look at them, they look at me. I look at my clothes, because I had just gotten off of work, and I was in my little work outfit. You know, it was a white button-up t-shirt with black trousers. Some old lady done threw tomato soup early on me that day. Shit burned and left a stain. So I looked at my clothes, then I looked at them, they looked at each other, and I was like, oh shit. I went to the bathroom, I'm like, man, I gotta straighten up my hair, you know, I gotta make myself ready. And Sweet Baby Ray's. This is brought to you by Sweet Baby Ray's.
Wait.
This presentation is brought to you by Sweet Baby Ray's original family recipe. If you want the #1 goddamn chicken, you come to Sweet Baby Ray's. So I go into the bathroom, right? And I'm like, you know, I gotta fix my hair, you know, I just got off work all sweaty and shit, and I'm like, man, I gotta make myself as presentable. So then I walked up in there. Exactly, you know what I mean? I was in 9th grade. Again, I didn't know better, that's the way I thought. So I walk back and there's like this huge flower pot. I walk around the flower pot and I'm like right here. I'm like behind the flower pot waiting by the cash register for my dad to come in. And then I see my dad leaving the van. And like in slow motion, like Quentin Tarantino, if you can imagine my dad like walking out in slow motion in a fucking purple basketball jersey that was reversible. Green on one side and purple on the other. And he had matching shorts with it. So, you know, he wasn't coordinating that day, but it was the same outfit. And he was working on that car earlier too, I'll never forget it. You know what I mean? He was dirty as hell. He was looking really withered. And so he's walking up, smoking a cigarette, opens the door, blows the smoke inside McDonald's, puts a cigarette out inside McDonald's, right in front of the cheerleader girls. We walked right by them.
What are you doing smoking in there?
My dad doesn't give 2 shits and 1 buck and 3 nickels for $1. That's what he was doing. You know? So then he walks up, he's like, all right, what do you want? I'm like, you know, just give me a cheeseburger. Because I know my dad. He is a cheap fucking man, okay? Especially in this time of our life. We were very poor. And so, you know, things happen. I was like, just give me a cheeseburger. He's like, that's it? You don't want anything else? I'm like, no, I'm good. Then he looks at the menu. He's like, all right, let me get, talking to the young little girl. She's like, let me get a goddamn orange, #6. Give me a coffee and a bagel. And he's like, all right, orange bagel. And I'll never forget this. The lady said the total was $8.47. I'll never forget those numbers. $8.47, right? My dad looks at me, looks at the menu, looks at the girl, looks at the menu, and says, are you out of your goddamn mind? Because there's no way in hell I'm paying $8.47 for that bullshit. $8.47? I go to cash and carry and feed my family for a week with $8.47. And he would. He really would. So, you know, at this point, he's getting more elaborate. You know, he's making more of a scene. People are starting to look at his ass. And I'm like, fuck this. I start walking towards the door, trying to get out of McDonald's. And then, you know, he's still rambling about $8.47. So I got out of that bitch, and I start walking towards cash and carry. Because I know my dad. I know my dad will fucking prove a point, no matter what, okay? He was gonna go to fucking cash and carry and get those $8.47 worth of groceries to be like, fuck you, McDonald's. So I start walking, you know, I got a head start, and I remember vividly, I looked back at McDonald's, and I just see my fucking dad's leg kick the door open in his flip-flops. He was wearing these socks, right? And they were dress socks, and he was wearing flip-flops. And his fucking toenails were cutting through the socks, so he had like, it was, you know what I mean? Like, he had like Nike flip-flops on that looked like they should have been buried, the goddamn things are so old. Had them back in the 80s and shit. But anyways, you know, he kicked open that door, he held that bitch open and said, I'm never coming back here again. And if that wasn't bad enough, he yelled my name at the top of his lungs. Julius!
Is that your father?
Yeah, that's that son of a bitch. I was like, what? It's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to cash and carry. It's like, you're goddamn right you are. So we go to cash and carry, and I was pissed, dude. I was pissed at my dad had embarrassed me like that in front of the cheerleader girls that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Ruining anything that could have ever been.
Might have known them.
You might have known them, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Popular. He's actually there. There's yeah.
Man, all I remember in cash and carry, I went to the bathroom. That's the first thing I had to do. You remember this shit? I went to the bathroom, dude, and I was like, man, I can't believe this shit. You know, I was all pissed. I was just chilling out there. You know, I was like standing in the stall. I told my dad I had to take a pee, and I was just standing in the stall until he came in there, and he came in there like 5 minutes later. He was like, what the hell are you doing in here? I'm like, oh, I had to take a dump. He's like, well, you look like you fell in this bitch. I'm like, ah, whatever, let's go. So, you know, we got the poor people necessities, a gallon of milk, cheese, the eggs, the bagels, and, you know, sure enough, it was less than $8.47. 2 bags, easily something a man and a child could have carried. When we were in a shopping cart, my dad's like, no, leave it in the cart. I'm like, are you sure it's only 2 goddamn bags?
This is the McDonald's store?
You goddamn right it's the McDonald's store. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. So we left it in the cart.
How many people have heard this McDonald's story?
Okay, so every time we go to this McDonald's drive-thru,
Oh, good,
he goes,
okay.
this is the place, man. This is the place my dad got him at my ass.
$8.47
And there's the Oriental
goddamn dollars.
buffet with...
My childhood cost me $8.47. That was the day I grew up, alright? That was the day I was like, never again, alright? That was a groundbreaking day in my life.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fuck around and spend $8.47.
Alright, keep going about the McDonald's.
No, I'm pissed, man, because it was $8.47. He's making a scene over $8.47.
Then they show the shopping cart.
Yes, he shut the shopping cart. We get in front of McDonald's. He puts his beer, because he could afford that with $8.47. He put a 6-pack in there, and he put his milk and eggs, or whatever the hell those poor people were eating. Fucking took 1 step back. At this point, I was sitting in the van, hoping those cheerleader girls were gone, praying to God, saying if he did this shit to me, I'd become Christian, or whatever the hell you bitches celebrate. And so, my bad, anyways. So, I see him whip the shopping cart around, aiming at McDonald's, and take like 3 running steps and lets it go. And you see that bitch cruising, it's picking up speed, you know what I'm saying? And bam, it hits the curve of that bitch. Flips over into like their flowers, right? Oh, and ruins their shit. My dad wiped his clean. Wiped his ass clean in the situation. And we never went back there again. And that's why I'll never remember $8.47.